With Kamar Jordan injured, Tavares Daniels as well, that is the leading receiver. The Calgary Stampeders, Reggie Begelton, went off for 150 yards 2 weeks ago in Hamilton, looking to lead Calgary to a playoff spot officially tonight against, yes, Duron Carter and the Argos. Duron has played sparingly, still no catch in double blue. Something's got to change for the Argos if they're able to save their playoff hopes. Not too good right now at 3-9. Starting Week 16, Rod Smith and the panel of Davis Sanchez, Matt Dunnigan, and Henry Burris as we get set to start this week. And the Stampeders at 10-2, rolling along. Keys to this game tonight.
In 6 starts for McLeod Bethel-Thompson, he's attempted pass over 20 yards only 30 times in 6 starts. I want to see 30 attempts tonight. Get that ball downfield, take some shots.
I hear you. I'm going to start off my dinner tonight with a little side, 2 sides, actually.
Okay.
Nala Casatati in the center. I think that's going to be huge, right? And a little Markeith Ambles, right? Sprinkling a little of that,
Sounds
right?
good.
Yeah. And then I'm going to go with a heavy dose of Don Jackson and Reggie Begelton.
That's a meltdown.
Yes,
That's a
right.
meltdown.
Yeah. And for some dirt, I'm going with some dessert. I'm going with Market Michelle.
Market Michelle. Well,
right.
you know what, guys, what I'm asking for? I'm asking for a dose of JWJ today because right now the teams that have had success against Calgary and have had chances to beat them and have beaten Calgary, they've ran the ball successfully, a la Ottawa Red Blacks as far as with William Powell in the backfield. They've had a lot of success running the ball. Toronto needs to do that tonight to take the pressure off McLeod Bethel-Thompson.
Alex Singleton's going to have something to say
Oh,
about
you know he is.
You guys talked about it in the pregame, though. Is it time to unleash Duron Carter and see what he can do for this team?
Clear him out. Take a point guard. Clear out.
Give me a post. Give me a post corner.
Get the running game going.
Yes. Just tell him what to do.
The last time the Argos beat the Calgary Stampeders, not counting the Grey Cup, you know who the starting quarterback was for Toronto?
Yes, because you
Matt
told us
Dunnigan.
earlier.
No.
No, dude, that's a long time.
Okay. Zach Caleros, 2013.
Zach,
A little over 5 years ago. Kickoff coming up here on TSN.
It's the Stampeders and Argonauts, the Grey Cup rematch. There's Mitchell looking for Reggie. Begelton stretches out and makes a terrific catch. Into the end zone, Eric Rogers, touchdown. Stands in, Rogers, touchdown, and that was pitch and catch. And it was never in doubt. Calgary Stampeders putting a little distance behind that Grey Cup loss.
All right, Richard Cole of Calgary, you could win groceries for a year if a kickoff's returned for a touchdown in this game, thanks to Safeway Sobeys' $1 Million touchdown to win promotion. And should it happen a second time in this game, you could also win yourself $1 million. Good luck, Richard. McMahon Stadium in Calgary we go. To Chris Cuthbert and Glenn Suter.
Thank you, Rod. Argos desperate for a win to breathe some life into their playoff hopes. Stampeders can confirm a postseason berth tonight by winning a Grey Cup rematch on Friday Night Football from Calgary.
Calgary's Bo Levi Mitchell, best winning percentage in Canadian Football League history. He's won 66 of his first 80 starts in the CFL and has never lost a regular season game to the Toronto Argonauts. On the other sideline, McLeod Bethel-Thompson. He's 2-4 on the season, but has lost a couple of close ones, including last week where he threw for a career high 321 yards against Saskatchewan, but didn't get the win.
Mark Trestman's Boatmen still in pursuit of their first road win of 2018. Trying to snap a 4-game losing streak, which is the coach's longest in the Canadian Football League. And there's Dave Dickinson. His Stampeders 6-0 against the East, 6-0 at home. And they've won their last 9 regular season meetings against Toronto. It started as rain, probably hail. Please don't tell us that's snow.
That time of year, we might get a little bit of everything tonight.
Just started to come down during the anthem. This is the first home game for Calgary since Labor Day. These two teams met in week number 2. And of course, a 41-7 stampede by Calgary in that one. So we're underway off the foot of Zach Medeiros, and here we go. It's Romar Morris on the return, and he gets tripped up just across the 30-yard line. So the red-hot Bo Levi Mitchell, as mentioned, in his best 6-game segment of his 7-year career, over 2,100 yards in those last 6 games, including 2 400-yard passing games.
So you're saying he's getting better with that winning percentage and a 10-2 winning record this year. He's getting better. He's getting hot. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
That'll send a few alarm bells out.
Yeah.
Even with a depleted receiving corps. See what they do against an Argo defense that struggled of late. And Mitchell's going to run. Doesn't do that often, and he'll get a block and step out untouched. Longest run of the year coming in was 21 yards. That's a 13-yard first down run for Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah, you don't see it very often. 9 carries, 68 yards coming into this game tonight. So he's basically carrying it maybe once a game, but this is going to change. The weather conditions this early with all this rain coming down now, I mean, the quarterback's got to think about that. Ball security, very important in bad weather games.
Don Jackson, the running back. First down at the 45, handoff to Jackson. And Jackson squeezes through for 7 as we set the offense for you. Jackson playing in his 8th game of the year.
Yeah, last game was in the Labor Day matchup against Edmonton. Markeith Ambles is going to start at receivers. Been with Calgary all through training camp out of Houston. Played for the USC Trojans as well. And there's a real interesting character in Nila Kazatati, playing center for Ucombre Williams. And boy, is he an interesting story out of Oklahoma.
I'm glad you got the name first. Second and short over the middle, a crossing pattern, and Markeith Ambles gets his first Canadian Football League catch and moves the yardsticks.
Yeah, went to USC with Lane Kiffin, had some issues off the field, and had some issues early in his college career. He transferred to community college, then went to Houston. But has been, like most players that play for the Calgary Stampeders, he's been in the organization since training camp, waiting for his opportunity. Didn't want it because of injury, but he gets his chance tonight. First start.
He goes in motion, the handoff to the right side. Jackson getting to the edge. And he steps out after another first down. Jeff Knox, or no, they're going to mark him just short of the first down. Knox, one of the newcomers in a revamped Toronto defense.
Cleon Lang is the only starter in the lineup tonight that started in the Grey Cup for this Argos defense a year ago in November. So that's how many changes there's been. Justin Tuggle moves back to the middle for Bear Woods, who was injured last week again. And then you look in the secondary with Will Likely playing at corner for Robert Woodson. You've got 4 rookies in the back end for Toronto tonight.
Roberson playing his 6th game. Washington is 8th, 5th game for the safety Dowling. And Ronnie Yell, the last man standing from the start of the year. Short run by Jackson. It's a first down. He'll come out, and Romar Morris will check in to the offense. Mark Trestman's had some concerns about this defense that has given up the most points this season and the most rushing yards this year. And the jet to Mark and Michelle. Speedster's got a crease. Now kicks it outside. Inside the 10. Mark and Michelle. Touchdown. A 36-yard run to pay dirt. A little sword fight at the end of it.
Or were they lightsabers?
They could be.
I don't know. Well, you better get contained on a fly sweep. That's the key to stopping a fly sweep. And Mark and Michelle got the corner and got the edge. When he got that, because there was no containment by the Toronto Argonauts, then it was him in the open field making people miss.
So the 5th touchdown of the year for Michelle, the first as a runner. 6 plays, 78 yards. And a miss on the convert from Rennie Paredes. 3rd convert miss of the year. See if we get a return out. Duron Carter's just going to step out the back. So it's a 6-point Calgary lead. 68 rushing yards, 36 by Mark and Michelle into the end zone and into the lead for Calgary.
Stopping the fly sweep, there he is. It's Frank Beltre that's got to get up the field and get contained on Mark and Michelle. Make him turn underneath. Watch what he does. He gets flat here, and as he flattens down here, now Michelle's got the edge on him. His help can't get there now. He's got to turn him up into the hole. If he doesn't, it's over. Mark and Michelle gets outside. Now he gets some help from his receiving core down the field. Little Lamar Durant block right there, just getting in people's way. And Mark and Michelle gets in.
So be Will Likely on the return, and Likely with a burst up across the 40-yard line. So decent field position for McLeod Bethel Thompson. 7th game start for him. 2 wins, 4 losses, and the 4 losses came after his initial 2 wins as the Argo starter.
Yeah, tough when you have a career best, and I know it's a small sample size, just 6 starts so far. This is start number 7, but a career best, over 300 yards passing. No touchdown passes in that game against Saskatchewan, but didn't get the win.
Well, the Argos have been plagued by slow starts in all 3 phases. And here's James Wilder out of the backfield, bumped out by Jameer Thurman. And a slow start tonight as Mark and Michelle puts Calgary on top under 4 minutes into the game.
Go to the cues.
Last week they did get James Wilder Jr. going through the air. 7 catches, shy of 100 yards, 74 yards receiving. So see how they get Wilder going in this game.
2nd and 5, second read over the middle is complete. S.J. Green's got the catch. Alex Singleton the tackle. Argos move into Calgary territory and will set that offense that does have some weapons.
Well, Deron Carter, you heard the guys talk about it in the pregame show. He was targeted once last week against Saskatchewan, did not have a catch, so he's still looking for his first reception as a Toronto Argonaut. Chris Van Zyl is the veteran up front, 2-time All-Canadian at right tackle.
S.J. Green gets 12. And now Wilder straight ahead. And that's good first down production. They're almost into field goal range here.
Derek Wigan out of the lineup, so Junior Turner will replace him at the interior of that defensive line. Jagarrett Davis looking to get back in the sack race. It's 4 on the season for him. Alex Singleton tied for the league lead in defensive tackles. The middle of that Calgary, solid defense. And in the back end, their veteran is Brandon Smith. Couple picks on the year.
Congratulations to Junior Turner playing in his 100th game tonight. 8-year veteran out of Bishops who's battled knee issues the past couple of years, but has been a mainstay in that defense over the years.
Just a solid group that does not make mistakes. We talked to Mark Trestman yesterday about preparing for this Calgary Stampeder defense. So you just don't see any busts. You don't have those moments where you can take advantage of a mistake by the opponent, which happens against every other team, it seems, except Calgary. They're just so solid, especially in the back end.
Good start to the drive here, and they'll swing it out to the edge. And there's Dexter McCluster, his first touch of the Canadian Football League. Former NFL Pro Bowler gets his first start.
Drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs back in 2010. 2nd round, as a matter of fact. And you can see what he accomplished in his NFL career. Still, I believe, holds the longest punt return in Kansas City history, a 94-yarder. Back in his early days.
Thought we would have seen him a little earlier at a hamstring injury in his first practice. 2nd and short, and Wilder off the right side, and the Argos stacked some first downs on this opening possession, trying to answer the early Calgary touchdown. So a guy with speed and fresh legs, so it'll be interesting to see how much Mark Trestman deploys McCluster tonight.
Said he will play some offense and be on the team, so watch for the production they can get out of him.
A little reverse here. It's Armonte Edwards coming back the other way, and he gets taken down by the veteran Brandon Smith around the 21-yard line. And again, the Argos generating good yardage on first down.
Armonte Edwards was in the same draft as Dexter McCluster. He went to Carolina in the 3rd round.
Friday Night Football. Kim Murphy, our referee, and it's a ref cam night here at McMahon. 2nd and short. And a inside, and Micah Johnson puts a quick end to that. Wilder taken down, had to get to the 20 for a first down, and it's going to be 3rd and a full yard.
Well, Micah Johnson's probably been their most consistent defensive lineman, maybe consistent defensive player, he and Alex Singleton, but for sure on the D-line, leads the team in sacks, and that's saying something. Usually hear that from the outside guys. Ends.
Stamps have had 7 stops in short yardage, but here James Franklin off the right side in behind Ryan Bobden, and Calgary product Sean McEwen has a first down for the Argos, so this drive will continue. Junior Turner at the bottom of the pile. Mentioned Micah Johnson, who did not play the last game for Calgary because of injury, so he's a little fresher after missing that game and the bye for the Stampeders. Good response drive, though, by the Argos. First down of the red zone. Big to Wilder, has some time. Now swings it out to Wilder, can't make the catch. Incomplete.
Well, that was a true check down because McLeod Bethel-Thompson had lots of time, and the coverage downfield was so tight that he didn't want to push the ball or take a chance in the red zone. But by the time he got it back out to James Wilder Jr., it was too late. Now there was defenders closing on him.
Devon Claybrooks looks for a stop. 11th play of the drive. Argos number 2 in the red zone this year. And a throw by Thompson down at the 1. A terrific catch there and a money throw from.
Just 2 great pros going one-on-one in S.J. Green against Brandon Smith. And he's just going to inside release, try to stem him up the field. Smith doesn't turn his hips. He doesn't open up like he's going deep or running a corner route. He stays right on his hip, but the ball thrown right where it had to be, and S.J. Green comes up with it.
That's 23 seasons of CFL experience going against each other. Green 12 years, Smith 11, James Franklin in. Franklin off the right side again. Touchdown Argos. And Toronto answers with an impressive drive after the opening Calgary touchdown.
And that is number 12 for James Franklin on the season. He has really embraced the role in short yardage since losing the starting job to McLeod Bethel-Thompson 7 games ago.
Started with a good kickoff return by Will Likely, and then 12 plays, 69 yards. Franklin gets it into the end zone, and now the Argos will try to take the lead on a convert attempt by Zach Medeiros. Argos have gone for 2 points on 10 occasions this year, but looking for 1 here in the lead. Medeiros 13 of 16 from 32 yards out. And the Argos lead 7-6. So S.J. Green with a 17-yard catch into the corner. As McLeod Bethel-Thompson's on the money, sets up the Argos. Go-ahead touchdown at McMahon. The CFL on TSN is brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. Argos just matched their point total from their last game against Calgary back on June 23rd, and they have a 7-6 lead on a good-looking first quarter drive. Troy Studemeyer back along with Romar Morris. Terry Williams not in the Calgary lineup tonight. Williams had a punt return touchdown back in week 2 against these Argos. This is Studemeyer, and Studemeyer up to the 35-yard line. Argos driving the field. James Franklin punching it in 7-6 Toronto here at McMahon.
Fans.
Prior to kickoff tonight, moments of silence as they paid tribute to Mike Labinjo, who passed away last week, the former defensive lineman of the Stampeders, 4 years with Calgary, and played such a huge role on that Grey Cup winning team in 2008, especially in the West Final and in the Grey Cup game.
Couple of goal line stands in the West Final for Mike Labinjo, and he was outstanding in the Grey Cup.
Here's Mitchell putting one up here, a jump ball, and it falls incomplete. Jackson out of the backfield, getting tracked there by Tuggle.
Take a look at that Grey Cup back in 2008 in Montreal, Calgary Stampeders, and John Huffnagel and Mike Labinjo had a couple of knockdowns at the line of scrimmage. I know Anthony Calvillo mentioned after the game that he was just impossible to block, just outstanding football player, a better person. Our thoughts and prayers with the Labinjo family and friends.
Still hard to believe. Mike Labinjo, a guy who could light up a room with that smile. There's an incompletion. Bo Levi Mitchell 0 for 2 on that drive. They go 2 and out. He looking for a flag. And the Calgary punt team comes on.
Well, it looks like he wants one, but it's a little early in the process for Dave Dickinson to risk using his challenge flag.
So a quick 2 and out. Will Likely is back. He awaits the Rob Maver punt around the 35. Maver number 3 in the league in net yardage. He has Likely backpedaling, 48-yard punt. And a flag comes down as Likely returns to the 35-yard line. So S.J. Green critical on that first scoring drive for the Argos. Gets set to go back to work on offense here at McMahon. But there's the stalwart, S.J. Green. The newcomer is Duron Carter. It could be quite a dynamic duo with more. Let's head to the sidelines. Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, CC. Yes, although Duron Carter does not have a catch yet as an Argo, S.J. Green told me that he knows firsthand the difference that he's making on the field already. One thing that S.J. Green isn't used to is being wide open, and he said after studying film that happened a couple of times in the last game. Duron Carter, the reason why is Duron Carter has gotten a lot of attention from the secondary, and they've been doubling him, leaving S.J. Green wide open. That's something that he doesn't happen very often. The one thing that S.J. Green did say about Carter is his name speaks for itself, and he is progressing slowly but surely in this Argos offense, and we'll see if patience continues to pay off by the Argos.
Green with a couple of catches, 29 yards in the opening drive. Bethel Thompson hit as he delivered, and James Wilder Jr. swarmed. Argos starting 10 yards further back after a penalty on the punt return by Jeff Knox Jr.
Yeah, you know, by all accounts, it looks like Wilder's a little slow to get up there. Not good news, but
he does have to take a knee, can't get to the sidelines.
Well, and they want to make sure they get their replacement. Maybe Dexter McCluster gets a whole bunch more playing time. We'll see what the injury is and how long that James Wilder may be out. Let's take a look and see exactly how they're looking at that left leg. Here comes the hit. Oh, it was
right there. Turner on the right knee.
The hit by Thurman. And then Turner coming back the opposite way was already on the ground when he kind of lunged at the legs. That looks good. See him walking it off.
McLeod Bethel Thompson fortunate to get that pass off, and 2nd and 9. Barely a yard on the play. So it is McCluster in the backfield. Bethel Thompson hit again as he delivered Micah Johnson, and just like Calgary on their last possession, it's a 2-and-out for the Argos.
And that was a targeted throw to Duron Carter on an out route that he had won, and because of the pressure from this guy right here in the middle, and we've seen him up already disrupting things for the Argos a little bit as he comes up the field, comes all the way around the edge, and doesn't allow McLeod Bethel Thompson to step into it.
Morris awaits, fields this at the 40. That's a 50-yard punt, and he'll bring it back across midfield to the Argo 53-yard line.
Make your getaway with intelligent all-wheel drive in the 2018 Nissan Qashqai.
Injured Stampeder on that last punt return. Trying to pick up the number here. Is that Ante Milanovic leader number? We'll wait to establish what the number is.
Maybe Bagleton.
If it's Bagleton, yeah, it could. Yeah, it does look like 84. Well, and if it is, the rash of injuries to receivers is growing, and it's just been unbelievable. Kamar Jordan, Tavares Daniels, broken collarbone. Eric Rogers was out, nearly set to come back after knee surgery.
Reggie Bagleton is right over here to the left of your screen on this punt return team. Limited roster size in the Canadian Football League. A lot of the starters, whether you're a DB starting on defense or a receiver starting on offense, you're playing on a lot of those special teams as well.
Like he got clotheslined by Robert Woodson, and it appears to be a shoulder injury, a right arm injury.
Shut up, man.
Wow. I mean, Kamar Jordan, Tavares Daniels, as you mentioned, both gone probably for the year. Daniels a 6-game, Kamar Jordan for sure. The good news is Eric Rogers was practicing all week full speed and was real close. They elected to hold him out one more game, but probably back for their game against Toronto, or excuse me, in Montreal.
Player of the week against Hamilton, over 300 yards in his last 2 games. So the Stamps lose a key weapon. That pass incomplete, intended for Breskison. And again, Bagleton on the sidelines with 3 stars already on the bench.
Yeah, you take a look at that potential production when you have those 3 guys out there. And Levi Mitchell keeps still finding a way to win games, but he lost Tavares Daniels most recently, Kamar Jordan a couple of games ago, and Eric Rogers been on the 6th game. Very close to returning.
3 straight incompletions for Mitchell. 2nd and 10. Argos in pressure. There's a completion underneath. It's going to be short of the first down. Jeff Knox Jr. with the tackle on Don Jackson. 6-yard pickup. And now the decision, do you go for it on 3rd down? And after some hesitation, it looks like the punt team will come on.
You're talking about 4 yards, 3.5, 4 yards here.
Be a 54-yard field goal against the wind, so that wasn't an option. But around the 47, you could consider 3rd and 4. But Maver, one of the best in the business at hitting the corner here. He'll try and get a pin for the 8th time inside the 10 this year. And that one will bounce down and out once again by Maver inside the 10. Well, it's been a disappointing year for the Argos, 3-9, but they have not given up, and one of the reasons is the culture they have.
I think the culture is derived around being a better person first, and just being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. I think that's the culture here. It's with all due respect to football, life is bigger than football.
Well, we saw the results of that philosophy last year.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what Mark Trestman tries to build, and a coaching style. And it hasn't gone well this year. We've talked about the injuries. Of course, Trestman.
Time count violation. Toronto, number 14. We'll go back half the distance. Remains first down.
He doesn't want to see penalties like that, especially where they are on the football field. And it's been a tough year, but keep in mind, and I'll give them an alibi. They don't want it, and they won't take it and accept it, but they've lost their starting quarterback early in the season against Calgary in Ricky Ray. And I know a lot of people early in the year were basically retiring Ray before he was due when James Franklin signed, but that wasn't the plan for Mark Trestman. That's a starter. Take Bo Levi Mitchell out of Calgary's lineup, or Mike Riley out of Edmonton's lineup. Could be different.
Set up the screen, not going anywhere. Alex Singleton stepped up on Declan Cross.
Boy, Singleton closes quickly, doesn't he? That middle linebacker spot, reads it. This is a lot of video study. This doesn't just happen, that reaction. It doesn't just happen after the ball's in the hands of Declan Cross. That happens beforehand when he's done all that video study.
No gain, 2nd and 14 from his end zone. Pressure on, in again, puts it up, and it falls incomplete. A couple of Stampeders in the area. And right now the Argos offensive line is having trouble dealing with Micah Johnson.
Boy, are they ever. I mean, this is a guy that's causing all kinds of problems, even after that first drive. The first drive was a good one for Toronto. 12-play drive, 6 minutes, 69 yards. Micah Johnson, though, had a couple of plays in the drive, and since then has taken it up a notch from there.
Ref cam look, and McLeod Bethel Thompson's going to be seeing red tonight, doesn't he? So do you give up 2?
Boy, I think you have to, that deep in your own end zone. I know it's
do have the wind at their back. Let's see what Mark Trestman elects to do. And that is exactly what they will do. And he will step out, and Calgary will take the lead 8-7.
Yeah, those knockdowns or that pressure in the face of McLeod Bethel Thompson are just as good as sacks. I mean, causing incompletions. That was almost an interception. Had a couple of Calgary Stampeders closer than anyone else to that ball that was just fluttering through the air after Micah Johnson got there. So Trestman's going to have to figure out a way to protect in the interior and keep Micah Johnson away from his quarterback.
Well, doubleheader action tomorrow. Shaw Road to the Grey Cup keeps on rolling. It'll be a live mic broadcast rematch of one of the best games of the year. That astonishing comeback by the BC Lions against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. It gets underway 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on TSN 1, 4, and 5. And then the nightcap of the double dip, a clash between the Blue Bombers and the Eskimos. This a huge game in the Western Division standing, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on TSN 1 and 3. Did we keep you up last week?
Hey, I watched every minute of it from Toronto after our game, that SAS Toronto game, and then watched you and Maddie in BC. And what a great football game all the way down to the wire. And that catch on the 2-point convert by Brian Burnham. Those are the ones you love as a kid when you're trying to catch it right at the curb, keep your feet in bounds.
And for all the young players out there, he admitted afterwards they've been working on the toe tap all week. And it won them a football game at a critical time of the season. So here's Studemeyer on the return after the safety, and he gets out beyond the 40-yard line, and out at the Calgary bench, they'll mark him at the 45. So Stamps now with a 1-point lead in the football here with time for one more play in the opening quarter.
Good opening drive as well, and then a couple of 2-and-outs since then for Bo Levi Mitchell. Again, he's trying to figure out who he's going to throw to.
So Bagleton, the latest. It doesn't look like he is going to be returning soon. So a little more opportunity for the newcomer, Markeith Ambles. Mitchell goes the other way, and it's Richard Sindani brought down on the play by Alden Darby. Excuse me, that is Jawan Preskison with the catch. And that's the final play of this opening quarter. A 4-yard pickup by Sindani. Calgary drove the field on their first possession for a Michelle touchdown. Argos responded. And after a safety, it's 8-7 Calgary after one quarter. Started out like we might have a shootout tonight. Touchdowns on the first 2 possessions of the game, but the defense has dug in since.
Yeah, look at the passing yards for the Calgary Stampeders. At some point, you got to believe that these injuries to the receiving corps are going to start to really affect this offense. And just, you know, heartbreaking for Reggie Bagleton, who's coming off a couple of great games, finally getting his opportunity after the injury situation to a couple other players in the receiving corps. Bagleton's waited patiently, worked very hard. Doesn't look like he's going to return. So you saw the low number for passing yards for Bo Levi Mitchell. Boy, at some point, all these receivers going down for Calgary are going to affect their offense.
You know, just new in the last month to the lineup, but a guy that's been biding his time in Calgary for the last 2 or 3 years, waiting for this opportunity. Like Kamar Jordan, who emerged this year, but has been in the Calgary system for at least 3 years, waiting to the opportunity to be a star, and that's it's tough to watch. A guy who's getting his opportunity have it in like that.
And I guarantee you that reaction you saw Bagleton right
Offside.
there.
Toronto, number 23. That's a 5-yard penalty. First down, Calgary.
That's not about the pain that he's feeling right now, and it's not about the injury. It's about the fact that he's worked so hard to get this chance. Coming off back-to-back 100-yard games, he was finally hitting it, getting a chance to get in the groove with Bo Levi Mitchell, and then this. But he will bounce back. That's what you do when you get hurt and you're a football player. You get in rehab and bounce back.
But Knox offside gives Calgary first down midfield. Fake to Jackson. To the wide side it goes. That's Sindani. And that's a catch down to the 40-yard line, and a Calgary first down of 14 for the youngster out of the Calgary Dino program, his 6th catch of the year.
Yeah, 22 years old, and Sindani gets a chance to play here now. I mean, like Bagleton, you get your opportunity, go and take advantage of it. And nice catch there on the outside by Sindani.
Mitchell throws over the middle. That catch is made, and it's back-to-back catches for the Regina native. Played his high school football at Campbell in Regina.
Yeah, for young players, this is an 8th round draft pick. This is a late round pick that gets into camp. All you got to do is get in camp, whether you're free agent signing or a draft pick. However you get there, get there. Go to work every day and get a chance to get on the roster first, play the teams, and then maybe you get a chance. 2 back-to-back catches for Sindani.
Dave Dickinson had mentioned if all expectations would he go back to college this year. Another catch over the middle, and there is Ambles, who holds on, and Calgary moving the football again early in the second quarter.
Take a look at a nice block here by tailback Don Jackson, as we mentioned off the top, back in the lineup. His last start was in the Labor Day game against Edmonton. He allows Bo Levi Mitchell to get that ball over the middle with a nice block.
So they lose receivers, but Bo Levi Mitchell continues to find open targets. A 15-yard pickup, and now Jackson trying to reverse field, and he's taken down around the 15.
It really is, I think, what separates the Calgary Stampeders from a lot of teams as an organization is the fact that they are building and developing these players in their organization before they get on the field, before they are forced into action through injury, or they've earned their right to get on the field and start a game. And Dave Dickinson has these players. You don't often see a whole bunch of free agent signings from other teams by the Calgary Stampeders. You see guys that are within the organization that when they get their chance, they're trained and ready, and they know where the bar's set in the Calgary Stampeder organization. Starts right there with John Hufnagel.
Argo defensive lineman down. Troy Davis getting attention.
And Hufnagel probably on that computer looking for receivers.
Yep. Go to that receiver page. There's probably 100 prospects that he's looking at right now. So Davis getting attention. We'll step aside, be right back to McMahon. Mics are hot every week on CFL Wired.
You scared? I'll show you how scared I am in a minute. I'm gonna meet you right here.
Hey, I'll be back. I'll be back. That's what he get paid to do, and that's what he does. And he does it very freaking good.
Catch it Tuesday, 8:30 Eastern, 5:30 Pacific on TSN2.
I'm just going to watch to find out who he was talking about. That's what he gets paid to do.
And I know John White's not scared.
No, he is not.
So it's 2nd and 9. Calgary in the red zone. Mitchell taking a shot. Lamar Durant can't bring it down. Little slip. There is a flag on the play.
Yeah, he tried to dig. He tried to get to another speed, another gear, and just lost his footing for a split
Illegal
second.
contact on a receiver. Toronto, number 25. We'll go up half the distance to the goal. First down, Calgary.
Ronnie Yell gets flagged for the illegal contact.
There he is right there. Take a look. Ronnie Yell, that's okay at 5. Now it's way too far. You're at 7 to 10 yards, still holding them in the end zone. That's no question on that one.
So it's 1st and goal, Fargo 8-yard line. And the handoff inside Jackson, maybe 2. Don Jackson 5th in the league in rushing. Just over 600 yards coming in his first 7 games in the league.
Yeah, missed the last 2, but it's been 3 weeks because of the bye for Calgary. But his last game was over 100 yards.
And his best game was against the Argos back in week number 2, 123 yards in that game. This is the 9th play of the drive. 2nd and goal from the 6. Back of the end zone, incomplete. Cincinnati unable to squeeze it, looking for his first Canadian Football League touchdown.
Yeah, he just tried to fade away a little bit late in the process. He's working on Trumaine Washington, again a rookie. And right here, as he's going to try and make this fade route, he's got to go up the field and then fade away just a little earlier. Start fading now, see how he tries to get at the top of the route a little bit wider, and it's just outside of his fingertips.
So he had a step and a couple of catches on the drive, but here is Paredes, who has missed a convert, but at 90% in field goal percentage, makes another, and it's a 4-point lead. 11-7 the score. The Argos touchdown, set up by an S.J. Green catch. Argos will try to answer back when we come back. S.J. Green probably a catch away from moving up the all-time receiving ladder. You hope guys like S.J. Green know how good Ray Alexander, James Murphy, Jim Young were as a player. And I know Calgary fans don't want to be reminded. Remember 1994 Western Final? Ray Alexander with a blocked field goal that set up a stunning Lion upset here at McMahon, and then went on to win the Grey Cup against the Baltimore Stallions that year.
Well, as a kid growing up, one of my favorite players in the CFL was Jim Young, Dirty 30,
Absolutely.
and I've told this story before, but I still have Jim Young's chin strap in my trophy case. I got it when I was a little kid, ran out on the field, and he gave me his chin strap.
Dirty 30, one of the legends and a Canadian Football Hall of Famer. McLeod Bethel Thompson steps up, fires, and a pass behind the target. Malcolm Williams was open.
Back one play though, and that Dexter McCluster run, that was showed a little bit of his burst coming off that edge to get in a a first down situation there. That was a 15-yarder a couple of plays ago.
Take another look at Dexter McCluster.
Nice little burst around the edge there. 15-yarder.
2nd and 10 from the Argo 50. And Bethel Thompson out of his hands, and he gets it to Armonte Edwards, a catch, and another Argo first down. They're into Calgary territory.
McCluster, 2nd-round pick in 2010. This guy right here, a 3rd-round pick in that same draft. And Armonte Edwards and S.J. Green have been 1 and 1A for McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Edwards with 16 catches in the last 2 weeks, and there's Wilder back in, and James Wilder rips off another first down run, and he almost was headed to the end zone.
Got some nice blocks up front, including Sean McEwen that's gonna pull and lead the way right here. Nice block for James Wilder. Good to see him back. He limped off a couple of plays ago.
12-yard run, 26 on the ground in the first half for James Wilder Jr. First down, and this play doesn't get off.
Procedure, Toronto, number 69. It's a 5-yard penalty, remains first down.
Left tackle William Campbell out of his stance prematurely.
Deron Carter just can't seem to get himself into this offense.
Everybody waiting for him to get the ball. His number was called, but
he got a touch. He got the ball. The penalty was called, and he did some trash talking on his way back to the huddle. I'm sure there's no surprise there by anybody.
1st and 15, 4 receivers to the wide side, and that pass incomplete, intended for S.J. Green with Emmanuel Davis in coverage.
He wants
a flag.
He wants Mark Trestman to throw his challenge flag. He felt like there was early contact, and when I looked at it live, Chris, I thought that there was. It looked like Emmanuel Davis gave him a shove just before the ball arrived from behind.
He certainly reacted as if that happened. It was hard to detect on that replay.
No challenge flag from Trestman.
On the fringe of Madero's field goal range. 2nd and 15, and now a flag comes down, and it's another time count violation.
Time count violation. Toronto, number 14. It's a 5-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
So that's 2 in the first half, and that's a costly one.
It just looks like there's a communication gap here, and it shouldn't be, because the coaches can talk directly to the quarterback as Bethel Thompson's trying to get everyone lined up.
And 2nd and long, Wilder, 45, 40, and he is cartwheeled at the 40-yard line. And
did they get back to field goal range? That's the question, because that penalty pushed him out of field goal range.
Be a 47-yarder, it would appear, and another Stampeder shaken up here. And that's Brandon Smith, the 11-year vet. Combined with Singleton on that takedown of Wilder.
Brandon Smith was on the inside.
Looks like Wilder's legs kind of whipped over and drove his helmet into the ground. And the vet has been dazed. Senior man in that defensive core. Looks like he should be okay. Medeiros lining up what would be a 47-yarder. Missed a 51-yarder last week on the final play that could have given the second last play would have given the Argos the win against Saskatchewan. 4 one-point games for the Argos this season. This to make this a one-point game. And Medeiros is up, and he is off the upright and a dead ball, and it remains a 4-point Calgary lead. Can't buy one. It remains 11-7.
The Argos are rolling again.
We all live for moments of greatness. Those moments can only be achieved when we pull together.
While we have the opportunity, congratulations to Brendan Mahoney and his wife Kim. Brendan, the director of Canadian Scouting for the Stampeders, celebrating the birth of a baby boy this week. Jamison Mahoney, a future Canadian Football League star. Our congratulations to the Mahoneys and the Stampeder family. 11-7, and again looking for Sindani, who's become a more featured receiver in this Calgary depleted receiving core lineup.
Tried to get there on the slant route that time. Pretty good coverage by the Argos defensively. It's almost rookies against rookies when you consider the injuries to this Calgary receiving core against the rookie lineup in the Toronto secondary.
Yeah, so many newcomers. 4 of the Argo secondary men have combined for 18 games of CFL action, but there is a knockdown by Roberson, and it's the third Calgary two and out of this first half.
Yeah, and I'm sure the secondary for the Argos, even though they're young as well, they probably were over there on the sideline saying, hey, this is a young group all of a sudden. This is a young group of receivers that Bo Levi Mitchell's trying to find. We can tighten up on them. They're going to beat us, make them earn it.
Welcome fans just tuning in from TSN4 who are watching the Leafs and the Red Wings. Here the Argos have great field position. Midway through the second quarter, trailing 11-7. Calgary scored on their first possession of the game. McLeod Bethel Thompson drove the Argos to a touchdown on their first possession of the game, and since then the defenses have dug in. Zach Medeiros missing a 47-yard attempt on the last Toronto possession. Argos start here from the 44 with Wilder in the backfield. And they'll throw the hitch. It's Malcolm Williams up to the 50 and a pickup of around 6.
Yeah, let's take a look at that touchdown drive by Toronto. It was right after the score that opened the game by Bo Levi Mitchell and the Calgary offense, and McLeod Bethel Thompson went to work, got the newcomer Dexter McCluster involved in the first drive. A nice catch right at the goal line by S.J. Green. And it was James Franklin that capped it off. A 12-play, 6-minute drive, covered 69 yards.
2nd and 5, Crosser caught at midfield. That's enough for a first down. S.J. Green, another catch. Winton McManus, the tackle.
Precise route running to get right to the marker for Bethel Thompson. His receiver knew exactly where that marker was. Makes the catch, gets forward progress, and a new set of downs.
S.J. Green coming into the game under 200 yards away from 9,000 career. First and 10, has some time, has a target, and a completion over the middle. And not wanting to go down, Levi Noel gets up swinging as he is hog-tied by Alex Singleton.
McLeod Bethel Thompson, read coverage here, drop into the pocket, have a throwing lane, and step into this one. A nice throw right over the middle, pretty tight coverage once they closed.
Unnecessary roughness. Toronto, number 84. 15-yard penalty. First down, Toronto.
See what happens and why the penalty flag after the fact.
That's enough, apparently, for a 15-yard penalty.
I think that's enough for a warning. I'm not sure that's enough for a flag, but he got it anyway. And if you put it in the hands of the official to make that decision, you never know what's going to happen. And took the gain in the first down off the board.
Argos, the least penalized team in the league. Calgary, number 2 in that department. Takes them back onto the Toronto side of midfield. Here's a first down. Dumps it off to Wilder. Follows the blocking and then is tripped up by McManus once again.
You don't see very often Alex Singleton getting beat in this open field type of scenario. And he, first of all, he has a couple of assignments here. He drops underneath the receiver, then he breaks up when he sees screen to James Wilder, and then takes an inside or an outside angle to try and turn him into, if he's going to miss, turn him into the pursuit.
2nd and 4 from the Stamp 52. Short drop, cross out of the backfield, made the catch. He was about a yard short of the first down at the point of the reception. It might be a 1.5 to 2 yards short. Couldn't get up to advance it. The short yardage unit is coming on with James Franklin. So they mark it at the 49, needs the 48 for McLeod Bethel Thompson to get back on the field.
23 of 29 in these situations.
Jameer Thurman checks back in when McManus had taken his spot earlier in this series. Franklin's converted twice so far off the right side, and they're getting a good push there in behind Sean McEwen and Ryan Bombin for another Argo first down.
You know, this might be a small thing, but you know what I noticed with James Franklin on these short yardage situations is he's got his head up and his eyes up. He's looking for that soft spot, that bubble. He's not just going to plow in behind Sean McEwen and try and just drop his head and get what he can. He's finding the soft spot with his eyes up, and I think that's the difference to the other short yardage units.
And another flag. They had 13 men in the huddle, and the Argos shooting more toes off the foot right now in this first half.
Legal substitution. Toronto. It's a 10-yard penalty. Remains first down.
2 time counts and a legal substitution. The penalty against Levi Noel. Things are adding up.
Avoidable penalties. And that's frustrating for a coach, frustrating for a team when you're getting penalties that are after the whistle or before the whistle in the time count situation.
Stamps yet to be penalized. Taking a shot down the rail. S.J. Creed with a highlight reel catch. There is a flag on the play. But another spectacular grab by the 12-year veteran. Take one more look. We hit the 3-minute warning, and it is a penalty against Calgary. So this beauty gonna stand. Onto the highlight reel for S.J. Green.
The Argos on the move again. Less than 3 minutes till halftime. We'll talk about that. Another key injury to a Stampeders receiver. And the Lions dancing the Ticats logo before their big rematch tomorrow at Tim Hortons Field. That's at the half. Back to CC and Sids.
Another big catch for S.J. Green. 4 catches in the game, 63 yards, and a Sports Center moment.
Just tremendous concentration. S.J. Green lays out, protects it with the right hand so he can break the fall with the other hand, and just outstanding catch.
So first and 10 at the 22, handoff Wilder, and not going anywhere. He's been contained by Alex Singleton so far tonight. 6 tackle for the Stampeders middle linebacker.
Deron Carter said about S.J. Green that when he grows up, he wants to be S.J. Green. And, you know, I don't blame him. I think not only can he learn from watching him do things like this and the dedication and the focus and just outstanding competitor that S.J. Green is, but the ambassador to the game, the great teammate that he is, he can also learn from.
James Wilder Jr. getting attention for the second time in this first half. I still think the best catch I've seen in the Canadian Football League was the one he made in the back of the end zone at Mosaic in the season opener 2010, the Grey Cup rematch of the year before. And I was calling incomplete before the ball got there because it just didn't look like it was catchable. And the guy that threw that pass is on the Argos sidelines. There he is, Anthony Calvillo.
And I bet if you asked him, he'd tell you he thought that ball was out of the back of the end zone when he let it go.
But we had the clip from SJ about culture, and he's one of the guys that really sets the culture in that locker room, doesn't he? A guy that we've been told will one day be a general manager in this league. SJ Green.
Well, I can still get in behind people too, because that's what, you know, a lot of people across the league that break down the game, analysts, etc., have said that, you know, S.J. Green's still a fantastic receiver, but he's a short to intermediate route guy now, possession guy almost. And I would disagree. I think he can get in behind people with his route running. He's very smart, so if you play a zone against him, he can double move you. In his last 2 games, he's had a 56-yarder, a 31-yarder. So he can still get down the field and get open in behind coverage as well.
So McCluster back in, along with Cross, 2 backs in the backfield. 10th play of the drive. Pocket collapsing, and Cross, looks like he tripped up, was the intended target on the check down, and it falls incomplete.
I thought that this may be a design throw to try and get the ball to Deron Carter, because he was in a one-on-one on the backside with Trey Roberson, and he runs an out route here, and let's see, covered pretty well. McLeod Bethel Thompson really didn't give him a look, and a little bit of a reaction there. You just see the start of it as he went back to the huddle. Carter kind of shaking his head, getting frustrated that the ball has not come his way.
The miss from 47 hit the upright, was a dead ball now from 29 yards out. Zach Medeiros trying to get the Argos within 1. And he does. It's 11-10. Well, everybody waiting to see when Deron Carter starts to contribute offensively to this Argo attack. We asked Mark Trestman for a progress update.
The perception of Deron is one thing. The reality is he's come into our football team. He's assimilated in our locker room. I think he's become, you know, the teammate that we hoped he would be early on, without the competition, you know, to compare him to.
Yeah, because, you know, he hasn't seen the ball, because he's just started to get into that starting lineup, a half a game last week, and starting all the offensive snaps here tonight.
There's Markeith Ambles getting loose, and Ambles all the way down to the 31-yard line. Sent flying at the end. Receiver coach Pete Cosenza this week said that he can yak it up, and he just did.
Huge throwing window here for Bo Levi Mitchell because the two interior defensive linemen for the Argos not only line up with a huge gap in between them, but they go wide. And look at that alley for Bo Levi Mitchell to go across the middle.
Ambles rambles for 44, first down. And that pass caught by Durant down at the 20-yard line. Lamar Durant has his first catch of the night. Still at the 20, it's another Stampeder first down.
Still getting coached up a little bit there by Bo Levi Mitchell. You can see even though he made the catch, he's coming back to the huddle, and Mitchell was coaching him up and then gave him that little pat saying, hey, no problem. Made the catch, you got it, but you got to get a little deeper or whatever he said to him.
Didn't have a catch in the last game against Hamilton. 19th on the season. But again, other guys going to have to step up. Quick strike attack here for Mitchell on this possession. And sends that downfield off the hands of Markin Michel. Incomplete with Roberson in coverage.
Well, Markin Michel's got the one-on-one. He's got this matchup. He's one-on-one, the only receiver to the short side of the field for Bo Levi Mitchell. Has to throw this with pressure in his face. He gets open because he's got space. Roberson backing up and just right through the midst.
Michel with a touchdown on a 36-yard run in the opening quarter. Stampeders at 50% on second down conversions, 2nd and 10. Over the middle, caught by Breskison. Flag is down. Looked like Breskison had enough for the first down. Marked at the 10. Or just shy of the 10. And is going against Calgary as we...
Illegal contact on the receiver, Toronto, number 36. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, first down, Calgary.
So a 10-yard gain. And they'll take the play instead of the penalty, and it's first and goal just inside the 10.
Well, Bo Levi Mitchell starting to work the middle of the field a little bit, and I think it's Jonathan Dowling, the free safety. Again, another rookie back there. He's backing way up and giving a lot of room in the middle. We saw Markin Michel drop one right in that same spot that Breskison caught it.
Mitchell swings it out. Look out. Roberson had him lined up for a big hit, and Romar Morris just avoided a major collision, but still is slow to get up after that.
You know, it looked live that the ball wasn't late, but quick close. I mean, Mitchell got back there, turned his hips and got it outside pretty quickly, but a quick close from Marcus Roberson. And
Roberson getting the hit on the right knee. Looked like that was going to be a higher impact collision, but the fact that Morris avoided the worst of it might have
made it worse.
Yeah.
Really did, because had he just kept his pad level, it would have been a collision, and maybe he spins off the tackle, but because he tried to sidestep him and avoid him, Roberson caught the knee.
And this has been a frustrating first half for Dave Dickinson as far as injuries are concerned. And if you joined us late, we should update you that Reggie Beggleton, who had become a prime target in the offense with all the receiving injuries, has left the game, and that injury looks like it will keep him out for an extended period of time.
Now, Terry Williams was a healthy scratch tonight so that they could look at Romar Morris in the return game and get a few reps offensively with Don Jackson returning to the lineup.
That's good to see.
Is that ever good news there?
Yep. Guy who has 5 touchdowns in his last 2 games. Running the football 95 and 98 yards. And as you can see, he's pretty good out of the backfield as a receiver as well. Had the 4 touchdown game in the Labor Day rematch at Commonwealth.
Boy, another great player fell out of a tree for Calgary. Isn't
Imagine that. 2nd and goal. Open target. It's Michelle. And the Argonauts won't let him in. He'll stretch out, but looks like he's down at the 2-yard line. And Dave Dickinson's got a decision to make. It'll be 3rd and goal from about 2.5 yards out. And it looks like the field goal unit's coming on.
That's a throwing position. Not that that guy can't get that done at 27 touchdown passes coming in.
We know what he wants to do.
You know what he wanted. He wanted to get a shot at throwing it to the end zone. But I like the decision. I mean, it's a tight ball game. The conditions, you never know what can shift here. Take the points.
And it's not like if you're stopped, well, you pin the Argos because there's little time on the clock.
Exactly.
The Argos could run the clock out, so they'll take the 3 that are available, and it will be a 4-point Calgary lead with 18 seconds left.
Oh, Levi Mitchell still talking to his head coach, saying, Coach, I really wanted that one. But if you're the Toronto Argonauts right now,
yep,
you're on the road against the 10-2 Calgary Stampeders, best team in the league by their record. You are what your record says, and that's 10-2 coming in. And if you're Mark Trestman, you're feeling pretty good about being within 1 possession at halftime. Got some things to clean up, like those penalties before the whistle and after them. But they're hanging in here right now.
As he said earlier in the week, it's razor thin, the difference between the best team and the last team in the Canadian Football League. We've seen that week after week this year. And here's a team that's 3-9 that's been in 4 one-point games and a play away from a few extra wins this season.
Well, and last week, as you mentioned, a kick away from another win.
And even, I'm sure, clock management, the way they handled that final drive was something that they'd love a do-over. Everything went right in the second half of last season for the Argos. Looking for more to go right in the final third of this regular season. Dozen seconds remaining on the clock as likely brings it back over the 25. And Macbeth likely to just kill the clock in this first half.
15-21 in the first half for McLeod Bethel Thompson, and just a couple yards more passing than Bo Levi Mitchell, and you wouldn't have predicted that coming into this one. But again, Mitchell losing a couple of targets, including his #1 receiver in the lineup tonight in Reggie Begelton.
But for the 12th time in 13 games, the Argos will trail at the half.
And a highlight reel catch by S.J. Green in that first half. Worth the price of admission to see a play like that.
Zeros on the clock. That'll do it for 30 minutes of football. Both teams with touchdowns on their first possessions, and Calgary with the lead after 30 minutes, 14-10. Let's head back to the studio. Here's Rod. 4-point Stampeder lead. Jermaine Franklin's with S.J. Green.
S.J. Green, 4 catches for 68 yards to keep the Argos in striking distance. What will it take in the second half to turn those plays into more points?
Same thing as I told you yesterday, Jermaine. We got to clean up our football. We got to eliminate pre-snap penalties and penalties that put us in compromising positions. So we clean up our football, keep making plays, and get some explosives. I like our chance to finish the second half strong.
You did mention tough fourth quarters. How important is the proper psyche to make sure you have a good second half, good fourth quarter in this game?
We got to stay locked in. This is our season right here, and we understand the moment that we're in, and we have to relish in it.
Thanks for this.
Yep.
Well, they may have to run the table.
Yeah.
At least win 5 of their last 6 to have a chance. Calgary with the win will confirm their reservation to the postseason tonight. Here's Dexter McCluster on the return, and McCluster contained inside the Toronto 30-yard line. But he referenced the penalties, and there were 61 penalty yards assessed against Toronto, 0 against the Calgary Stampeders in the first half.
Yeah, and some of those, as S.J. Green just told you, were before the whistle penalties after the whistle that are controllable penalties. So you know that Mark Trestman addressed that at halftime. And interesting that S.J. Green said, you know, this is our season. It's a long shot. They're still not eliminated. But they can knock off the top team in the league. That's a good start.
There's McCluster, and he got tripped up. Wynton McManus, who's played a little more on defense tonight, able to get to his ankles and hold that McCluster run to 5. Second-year man out of Memphis heads to the sidelines.
A couple of times, James Wilder Jr. in that first half limped off.
So 2nd and 5, here comes Heat. And the pass incomplete, intended for McCluster. That was Singleton on the blitz.
Yes, it was, and he was unblocked. I mean, I'm talking right down Main Street for the middle linebacker and Alex Singleton. So Devon Claybrooks dialing one up right early in this second half to send a message that they're not going to have that first drive like they did to begin this game. That was Singleton right down the middle, and he's not picked up.
He had a smile on his face like he just got a second helping of dessert. Here's Romar Morris, 46-yard punt, brings it back to the Calgary 46. 17 on the return, and Medeiros a little slow to get to the sidelines. He came into this game with an injury. They weren't sure if he was going to be ready to go tonight, and he is slow to get off.
Well, Bo Levi Mitchell has lost another starting receiver, as the guys have talked about, and did at halftime. 134 yards passing in that first half. Not Bo-like numbers.
No touchdowns, no interceptions. Don Jackson up across the 50 and gets tossed down there. There were 2 yards difference in passing between the two quarterbacks. McLeod Bethel Thompson at 136, Mitchell at 134 in the first half of play.
Start number 81 for Bo Levi Mitchell, as we mentioned off the top, and trying to keep that perfect record in the regular season alive against Toronto. 2 teams in his career, that's 81 starts now, that he has not lost to in the regular season, Hamilton and Toronto.
Here's the screen. And Jackson with speed down into Argo territory. First down to the Toronto 50-yard line. And among the staggering stats for Mitchell, he's 37-4 at home.
Well, what you're witnessing here from Don Jackson on the screen is an adjustment by Dave Dickinson at halftime. And this is his way of saying, okay, we lost another receiver. We're pretty young in the receiving corps. We're going to start to lean on 25 a little bit more. That's a run to Don Jackson, and now a little screen pass.
I mean, this guy.
There you go again.
Leon Lang tackles Jackson. Again, fresh legs. He's been out a couple of weeks, averaging 6.4 yards a carry this season. Held to 3 there at 2nd and 7.
You got to believe, Chris, that it was a part of the game plan anyway for Dickinson and to get the run game going, just based on the fact that the Argos have struggled stopping the run this year, last in the league against the run.
Giving up almost 120 yards a game. Has some time, gonna stretch it out. It's complete downfield, and the catch made by Julon Lynch. Just the 2nd time he's been targeted this season. That's his first catch. And the Stampeders reach way back to come up with another target. and a 40-yard pickup.
Well, you can't throw it any better, and watch where Bo Levi Mitchell puts this ball for Lynch. A little bit of a push to get himself some separation from Ronnie Yell. They're going to let that go for sure, and boy, that ball dropped right into his hands.
Second target of the year, first catch, 40 yards, first and goal. Stampeders 0 for 2 in the red zone tonight. Romar Morris in the backfield. Mitchell short drop, he's got Durant. Incomplete.
Take a look at the end of this corner route, short corner. Durant's just got to clean up the top end of his route a little bit. That's a couple times now as he's come out of his break, he's just stumbled a little bit, or
it's like he's fighting it a bit, no?
He's fighting it at the top end, and that's putting him out of position to make those catches.
Targeted twice in the end zone so far. Second and goal. Pumps once, throws now, and this could be picked off. It's incomplete. A battle for the football there between Alden Darby and Richard Sindani.
Well, Alden Darby, it went right through his hands, and then he realized that Sindani might make the catch anyway because he was inside. This was a late throw by Mitchell, and Darby had lots of time to get right out of there. You see it go right through his mitts for the interception.
Stop the Stampeders down at the 2.5-yard line late in the first half. Now they stop them at the 7.
Would have been his third on the season.
Paredes punches it through from short range. 7-point Calgary lead. But the Argos can take consolation that it was only 3 points. He'll have you at Aloha. Get into Magnum PI, streaming Monday at 9, 10 Mountain on CTV. James Wilder and Civvies on the sidelines for the second half. Shaken up a couple of times in that opening half of play. By the way, Rennie Paredes with 3 field goals, combined yardage, 37 yards. And a 7-point lead for Calgary, a completion here. And there's Duron Carter with his first catch as a Toronto Argonaut. Close to a first down, up just shy of where he had to be at the 45.
Well, he's in that ISO spot again by himself, short side of the field. And he's got the one-on-one, comes back on the curl, wins the route, so he gets the football. I mean, at the end of the day, you win enough routes, you're going to start to see it eventually.
Michael Thompson going to throw out of 2nd and inches and takes the sack. They treated it as if it was a free play, but it's not free anymore. Dropped for a big loss, and the punt team has to come on.
Yeah, he had to basically protect himself. And it's been this guy all night long for Calgary. Micah Johnson in the middle of this defense has just been, look at, he goes through the double team, he goes through the chip from Dexter McCluster. He's going to have to help out. I mean, Mark Dressman's going to have to go to double teams on number 4 every play.
34th career sack for the big defensive tackle. Line drive by Medeiros, and Morris's momentum takes him out at the 23-yard line. Well, he's dialed it up tonight. Well, as he usually does, and you get the ref cam look of Micah Johnson into your living room. You joined us late, Reggie Begelton, who had been red hot of late, injured in the first half on this punt return.
Just got that right arm hooked underneath there, and you can see it just kind of ragdolled it after that. He did not return, did not move it. Looking at the shoulder of the arm, and we'll get a further report as we get them. But, boy, that's a tough one. Tough to see a starting receiver like that on the teams as well.
Mitchell looking downfield. There's a flag on the play. And the catch is made by Breskison up near midfield. 31-yard play for Juwan Breskison.
One of the categories that Bo Levi Mitchell leads in coming in, even though he's lost a lot of receivers.
Pass interference. Toronto, number 36. That penalty's declined. Result of the play, first down, Calgary.
So the penalty against Trumaine Washington.
One of the categories is those throws over 30 yards, and one of the reasons for it is they'll run a lot of these deep routes where they've got 3 different layers, all deep receivers. That was a 30-yard game, but there was a deeper receiver at about 50. So if you're back in coverage, you got to pick your poison.
Mitchell's used 8 different receivers so far. None have more than 3 catches, and that was almost picked off by number 3. Alden Darby's had his hands on the football on 2 of the last throws from Bo Levi Mitchell.
Alden Darby leads the team in defensive plays. Now, that's partly due to all the injuries this defense has had to fight throughout the season. Guys like Bear Woods, Marcus Ball, Johnny Sears, Jermaine Gabriel, but he jumps that one quickly.
Yeah, you got a good look on ref cam of him jumping the route. Nearly had a pick in 2nd and 10. And Mitchell's going to stretch that out. Got a receiver behind coverage. Incomplete. Ambles couldn't secure the football. Trumaine Washington was in catch-up mode.
Well, he was, and didn't quit on it, and then played the hands of Ambles. And that's what you have to do. Trumaine Washington has another one of the rookies, but he's been playing well the last couple games. Had a pick 6 against Saskatchewan last week, so he's picking up the nuances of the Canadian Football League quickly out of Louisville. Doesn't quit, plays the hands, turns so he doesn't draw a penalty flag, and gets it out of there.
So Mitchell's attacking that young secondary with mixed results. Armonte Edwards back, played that, and that means the Argos are backed up around the 6-yard line. 52-yard punt. Almost a big, explosive Calgary play, but Washington breaks it up.
Join us on October 13th for our Pink Power Game in support of the Canadian Cancer Society, presented by Mayfair Diagnostics. Get your tickets today at stampeders.com.
Stamps will be in Montreal next, home against BC, home Saskatchewan. They'll finish on the road at Winnipeg and at BC. Argos backed up, play action fake, and is that intercepted? And it looks like it is. It's Brandon Smith with his 3rd interception of the season, down around the 11-yard line.
On McLeod, Bethel Thompson wants this one back, almost like there was a mix-up between he and Armonte Edwards, the intended target. Edwards, who, well, was that a catch now, or did the tip of that ball touch the turf? Turnovers are automatically reviewed, so that's happening right now, but
arms wrapped around it. You did see that ball looked like it bounced on the turf, but
see Edwards curled out. McLeod Bethel Thompson threw the curl in. It's fine there, so far a catch, but if the turf assists in surviving contact with it, you can see the tip of the ball is wet. That might be another indication that it hit the ground to help Brandon Smith.
Did have his arms wrapped around it, so is that enough?
It's close. It's close. It looks like it may be.
Okay, they're now telling us that the call is good. You saw the Argos offense starting to come back on the field after they looked at the replay. But another interception for the 11-year man. They're back in the red zone, 0 for 3 tonight. See if they can pound this one in. Jackson taken down around the 5-yard line by Ken Bishop.
Well, if there's one thing that the 10-2 Calgary Stampeders can improve on, and there's always areas where you're looking to improve, that's their red zone production. I mean, the top teams in the league are up over 65%. Top couple of teams in the league, and Toronto's one of them when they get in the red zone. Now, Calgary's been there more than any other team. That's part of it. But they've got to punch it in.
Argo's third defensively in the red zone. Handoff Jackson, straight ahead. Cleon Leg is not going to let him through. So they're going to spot him. Well, is it the 2 or the 3? The official straddling that, so it's going to be 3rd and 1 or 2. And the ball on the 2, it's going to be 3rd and 1. And this time, Nick Arbuckle, the short yardage crew, comes in. Spencer Wilson checks in into the offense. They're not going to try another under 15-yard field goal here.
No, but 3rd and 1 is the difference. You get the first down without scoring.
Need 1. Maybe just a little bit more than 1. Arbuckle got that and touchdown. Great surge behind Shane Berkman. And a Stamp punch it in.
Mark Trestman said it's the little things that make the difference. 2 mistakes turn into quick Calgary, sudden change, and touchdown by Arbuckle. And I say 2 mistakes because Armonte Edwards shouldn't have caught the punt that put Toronto in such bad field position, should have let it go into the end zone. And then the second on the interception by McLeod Bethel Thompson when the communication lapsed between he and Edwards on that curl route.
So Paredes adds the extra point. We mentioned they are 9-0 against the Argos, and in all those 9 victories, they've led by at least 14. And now they lead by 14 here in the 3rd quarter on Friday Night Football. What a great bye week for Coach Dave Dickinson. Went back to Missoula, Montana, was honored as he is going into the College Football Hall of Fame, up to rev up the crowd at Grizzly Stadium. All-time leader in yardage thrown, led them to a national championship over Marshall. Walter Payton Award winner, 2-time All-American. With more, here's Jermaine Franklin.
Thanks, EC. Yes, that is over 11,000 yards, passing a school record, over 33 touchdowns in his career at University of Montana. That is also a record. And when you think about the class of 2018 that he's going in with, it's pretty incredible. Names like Calvin Johnson, Megatron of Detroit, Charles Woodson, Ed Reed, Kerry Collins. It's incredibly special and an honor that Dave Dickinson does not take for granted at all.
December 4th, New York City, the College Football Hall of Fame induction ceremony, and our congratulations to Dave.
Well deserved. I went and congratulated him again before the game, and you know, in typical Dave Dickinson fashion, said, you know, I feel humbled to be in the company of the guys that I'm going in with, but it's nice when they recognize the smaller conferences and not just always Division I football, but a Walter Payton Award winner. And
how about that last note?
Yeah.
Greatest ever.
Humility is a strength. Dave Dickinson, incredible 38-8-2 record as the head coach the Calgary Stampeders since taking over for John
After
Hutnick.
the play, major foul, unnecessary roughness. Toronto, number 97, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Well, the beat goes on. They addressed it at halftime, but there's another unnecessary penalty against the Argos that digs the hole just a little deeper. And again, Calgary without a penalized yard assessed. There's Armonte Edwards across the middle. Alex Singleton's office, and he makes another tackle. Singleton with his 7th in the game.
On pace for 118 for Alex Singleton. 2nd in the league in defensive plays made. And
the head coach working with the young offensive talent. 2nd down. Thompson's pass, batted down. Emmanuel Davis, the former Tidecat, with a defensive play against his old rivals.
Well, right now, Calgary and Devon Claybooks are just defensively loading up on 2nd down, loading up the line of scrimmage, and they're just daring the young quarterback in McLeod, Bethel Thompson, to make real accurate throws with not very much time to step in and throw them. And good coverage in behind.
Madero's kicking it to Morris. He mishandles it, backtracks, and makes a little bit out of what could have been a disaster as he brings it back to the 34.
Found a lower price on tires? We'll match it, guaranteed.
So they led by 4 at the half. Now it's a 14-point lead for Calgary late 3rd quarter. And Bo Levi Mitchell with the ball back in his hands and a chance to really solidify this lead.
I just got a little bit scared here. I was just looking at the eyes of Nila Kazatati, the starting center for the Calgary Stampeders. He looked like he was ready to go get somebody.
Over the middle, batted down, knocked down there on the play by Justin Tuggle.
Real interesting story in Nila Kazatati, who's playing for Ucombre Williams and playing at that center spot. He's a tough, physical lineman out of Oklahoma, but while he was at college, playing at Oklahoma, he'd go to the children's hospitals and actually take his guitar and go and sing to the kids. And if you go on YouTube and just Google his name, you'll see some of these songs. He's a great singer.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, bad snap from center. Mitchell picks it up, gets it in the hands of a receiver, Brescison. We'll get a 1st down. Boy, the emergence of Jawan Brescison this season has been notable in this Calgary attack.
Well, we keep saying that. You know, we keep saying that. When Kamar Jordan went down, we talked about DeVaris Daniels picking up the slack and Bagleton getting his opportunities, and then they go down, and it's the next guy up, and then Sindani makes a couple of catches. This time it's Brescison. And Bo's getting time from the big guys up front.
4th catch for Brescison, 59 yards. 1st down, Stamps 48. Jackson. And he gets stacked up at around the 52 and driven back.
Talked to a couple of the coaches here in Calgary about Kazatati and just said, well, what do you got with him? I mean, what's his strengths? He said, tough. This guy, like all linemen are tough. They have to be to play in there in the trenches. But he said this guy takes it to another level. He's one of those great teammates. And when you YouTube him, you also see him do one of the dances for his entire team in Oklahoma in the middle of the field, and it's pretty impressive. And Delmonico's got a keeper in there in the middle, playing for Ucombre Williams right now.
Stamps haven't allowed a sack in the last 2.5 games. Screening this to Jackson with a flag down, and Jackson tossed down just over midfield. Which way is this going? A late hit on the quarterback or a hold against Calgary?
Frank Beltre is saying holding. He was probably going against Randy Richards because it looked like to me Randy Richards may have held on a little long here. You always can tell the guy that's pleading his case is probably the guilty party.
Well, I ask because they haven't had any yards penalized
Holding
tonight.
Calgary, number 53. 10-yard penalty, remains 2nd down.
So the first yardage walked off against the Stampeders tonight.
Well, I'm going to take a look at both these guys. There's Erdos and there's Richards right there. They're side by side. It looked like on Cleon Lang, it was Randy Richards. So they may have gotten the wrong number there, but
Guy from Simon Fraser's not going to get penalized, is he?
We got it.
Quarterback draw, downfield, jump ball, and overthrows Markeith Amble's incomplete. You can hear the Calgary sidelines. They thought they had a big play opening up there.
How about Casatati just working on Frank Beltre there? Be fun to watch in video, even though it was an incompletion. Big O-line meeting. They're going to sit down in the morning together and they'll have their breakfast and do a couple of cheers in that room after nice blocks there up front.
I knew you'd like any guy with a guitar. More likely 47-yard punt. How about that? Downfield cover. Quentin McManus in a hurry and no return on the play.
Well, if you're just joining us, you missed in the first half one of the great catches of the season from S.J. Green. Top of your screen, double move, and watch this.
That's just what S.J. Green does.
Oh, yeah. We need a bunch more of those. Get back in this one. And get out of the hole. They've been in the wrong end of a field position battle here.
Need a big play. They get a completion over the middle. Malcolm Williams has a catch. And that's his second of the game. Again, 8 different Argo receivers in the game. Wilder, who is no longer in the game, has 4 catches, and S.J. Green 4 for 68.
Mark Trestman talked about explosive plays, trying to find them in the offense. Enter McCluster, and that's why we keep going back to Deron Carter. He's capable of those big ones. He's made 1 catch tonight.
Here's the jet sweep to Edwards, tripped up. Troy Studemeyer. Let's go down to the field. Here's Jermaine.
Thanks, CC. Yes, James Wilder Jr., as we know, is in his street clothes simply because he suffered an upper body injury. I guess it's obvious that he will not return, but he is there in support of Dexter McCluster.
So upper body after limping off the field on an earlier play when he took a helmet off the knee. 2 for Edwards, 2nd and 8. Pocket collapsing underneath. It's McCluster with a flag down. And up at the 41, would be short of the first down. Which way is this penalty going? It's a holding call against Toronto, likely to be declined.
Yeah, I think it will be declined because it's going to be 3rd and about 3 or 4.
Holding Toronto, number 69. That penalty is declined. It'll be 3rd down. That's the end of the 3rd quarter.
Big left tackle flag, Will Campbell. Argos come up short in that possession. They'll punt the football away. Big 3rd quarter for Alex Singleton and the Stampeders, who have expanded the lead to 24-10. 3rd quarter offense, 105 for Calgary, only 23 for the Argos, and a turnover that helps the Stampeders take charge.
You know, when you're the underdog going into a game against a team that's better than you in the standings, and that's certainly the case here tonight, you have to win the turnover battle. And it's only 1 turnover. It's only 1 interception by McLeod Bethel Thompson, but it turned into 7 quick points, and that's why now we're a 2-possession game and a 2-possession lead for Calgary. You have to get it back somehow. Toronto has a quarter to get it done.
I'd add, you have to play mistake-free, and Mark Trestman's team has made a number of mistakes, like those penalties that have piled up. And they'll need a 4th quarter rally here tonight. Argos punt is not as deep. It's a couple of hops and Morris across the 40. Just a 36-yard punt for Zach Medeiros.
And you know what else that I didn't point out in the numbers is that guy's numbers right there. He's 15 of 28, 227. And we said coming out of the halftime break that, you know, it's not quite Bo Levi Mitchell numbers when you think over the last 4 games he's been over 400 yards for the first time in his career twice. And yet with a depleted receiving core, he's probably going to get to 300 yards passing again and has the lead and looking at wrapping up a 11th win of the season.
Trying to stay perfect at home. Looks one way, steps up, and now throws incomplete. Wanted Prescott, Darby in coverage, and the flag is thrown.
Yeah, I think there was 2 of them, and both officials saw the same thing, and Darby knows it.
Pass interference. Toronto, number 3. Point of foul, automatic, first down.
That's the 13th penalty against the Argos tonight.
Watch Bo Levi Mitchell look at the check down, saw that it was covered, manage the pocket, shift his body angle, step up into that pocket, find the receiver, give him a chance, and because he had to kind of cut back, Darby grabs him around his waist and draws a flag.
The ball down to the Argo 47. Mark and Michelle, the 4th receiver to the wide side. Another bad shotgun snap. Going out of the backfield, and that's William Longley. Gets shouldered out of bounds. The cameraman goes flying as Jonathan Dowling.
Boy, I hope our camera guy's okay down there.
Back up. No damage done.
Brennan just wipes a little blood off the nose, and he's good to go. Look out. Oh.
He's admiring his work on the scoreboard here. He just made the highlights. 9th different receiver for Bo Levi Mitchell's William Longley. Now for Sindani, and that's a couple of strides too far.
Well, those guys down on the field with our cameras do a great job of hustling out there and getting right in the huddle at times and getting those great super slow motion. And yeah, we got a little leak going and we got to clean that up. And
I think you get a bonus for that.
Justin's going to take over temporarily here. That would have been.
Boy, everybody's going.
Yeah. Ice packs for the TSN crew too, yeah.
And he's probably got to suit up tomorrow too. We'll be in Edmonton. Rush on. Mitchell steps up. Ooh, a cross body to Michelle. Mark Michelle, touchdown. His 2nd of the game. And Bo Levi Mitchell now has touchdown passes in 14 consecutive games.
The pocket management drive for Bo Levi Mitchell. So good at feeling the pressure without taking his eyes off his receivers. He feels it, he moves around and negotiates it, finds the open man. Without his top 3 guys, he's still getting it done.
5th touchdown catch of the year for Mark and Michelle. 28th touchdown pass for Mitchell. One better now than Mike Riley. And it's a 3-touchdown lead for the Stampeders. Well, let's find out how Justin did. Brennan getting repairs. Justin's in focus. Follows the football. Touchdown, Mark and Michelle and Justin.
Nice job. Bo Levi Mitchell got 4 plays. He got the pass interference to get things started. That moved the ball down around midfield, and then he went 2 for 3 on the drive, including a throw to a backup fullback in Longley, and then found Mark and Michelle. I mean,
it's been by committee tonight. 17 completions, 9 different receivers. And Mark and Michelle has a couple of catches, a touchdown on the ground, a touchdown through the air. McCluster hits a wall at about the 29-yard line.
But it starts with number 19 for this team, and he's down there coaching them up, even though they just finished a touchdown drive. Staying on top of the young guys, making sure they check out the iPad, take a look to make sure that, or the tablet, is what might be available in their next series.
With Ryan Dinwiddie, they've outscored the Argos 17-0 here in the second half for Ronnie Edwards. Small window, and he makes the catch. The Argonauts in the fourth quarter have struggled of late, and you can see just 8 combined points in this 4-game losing streak in the final quarter. Offense has averaged 28 points in the middle 6 games of the year. But this Calgary defense leads in so many categories, and McLeod Bethel Thompson's had a tough time cracking the code here tonight.
And McCluster's learning quickly that guys like Jameer Thurman and Alex Singleton tackle as hard as the linebackers down in the National Football League because they're hustling and getting there. And I asked McLeod Bethel Thompson about the Calgary defense. The first guy he mentioned was Jameer Thurman.
Second down, and that one falls short of the intended target. Deron Carter, and there is Jameer Thurman.
I asked him, I didn't name any names. I didn't bring up Singleton or anybody. I just said, hey, when you break down the video of the Calgary defense, what do you see? He said, I see 56 as their best athlete back there. And he is making plays all over the field, and that's when you know a guy's doing things right, because when the opponent names him by name.
Flag comes down prior to the punt, and again Morris, who's in somewhat of a tryout here tonight, seeing if he can handle this duty that Terry Williams does so well. Has had trouble securing the football in the last couple of punts. Let's find out what the flag's all about. Back at the line of scrimmage.
May have left early, the interior.
Offside, Calgary. 5-yard penalty, remains third down.
So the Argos will re-kick.
Got the offside penalty, but not enough to get a first down.
Yep.
So have to kick it again.
I was going to say, although it's a penalty against Calgary, it's almost an advantage for the Stampeders. They've got a tired cover group out there. And let's see what Morris does with this. 35-yard punt, and he'll bring it back to the 45. Well, the Stampeders are in charge. Couple of touchdowns in the game for number 80. Mark and Michelle, a 36-yard run in the first half, just scored on a pass in the second half.
More.
NFL on TSN continues Sunday. 4 early afternoon games, including the 3-0 Dolphins against the 1-2 Patriots. Also Bills and the Packers. Coverage begins 1 Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific, across the TSN and CTV networks. Go to footballliveshere.com for a complete broadcast schedule. Get accustomed to the Patriots winning. Not so far this year. You get accustomed to the Stampeders winning, and you don't see them starting 1-2.
You know, it really is remarkable. I mean, they're marching away here at their 11th win of the season. They will lock down a playoff berth with a win tonight. Still grinding the ball along the ground, which is what they want to do at this point. Try and take as much time off the clock and not lose any other players to injury. Bo Levi Mitchell, if he can wrap this one up, improves to 10-0 in the regular season against the Argos.
Haven't lost to the East, haven't lost at home. Julon Lynch with his second big play of the game.
Cincinnati comes across. Lynch, you're going to see him shoot from left to right on the play action to Don Jackson. He's got the Argo defenders basically guessing at who's going to get the ball there. That was a well-designed and executed offensive play. Brennan's back. A couple stitches, no problem.
That's a gamer, isn't it?
Absolutely. Playing hurt.
Mitchell hit as he delivered, and Jonathan Dowling across with the interception and bringing it back the other way. Here's Dowling over the 25, lost the ball, and Calgary's going to get it back. It drops down into the hands of Markeith Ambles. And big Derek Dennis, the left tackle, looks like he got the forced fumble in to get the ball back.
Well, let's take a look first at the pick. Almost looked like the throwing motion for Bo Levi Mitchell changed because of the pressure in front of him, and it was short of the target. So Dowling picks it up. It is Dennis who knocks it out of there. He has it in the right hand to keep it away from that pursuit from inside out, but doesn't matter. Big Derek Dennis puts his shoulder on it.
The 336-pounder gets the right shoulder in and right on the football. But the Argos unable to help themselves. Even when they get a takeaway, they give it right back. Dowling's first interception in the league. But Calgary remains +1 on the night.
And was that Ambles who picked up the second fumble? And you know, if you're a young amateur football player watching this game tonight, there is an example of what you do on every single play, no matter what. Your quarterback throws an interception.
On the previous play, we had pass interference. Number 36, Toronto. Point of foul is the 15-yard line. Automatic first down, Calgary.
So none of that even happened.
It never happened. None of that happened. But my point to amateur football players, keep hustling. Keep hustling no matter what. Ambles picks up a fumble created by Derek Dennis. None of that mattered after the penalty was assessed, and it would have been first down Calgary, and Dowling's interception comes off the board because they accept the penalty.
So the Argo penalty total increases. They're now over 100 penalty yards in the game. And to Morris, straight ahead, down to the 11. Calgary over 400 yards of offense in the game, the 7th time they've done that this year. Of course, the first meeting against Toronto, 555 yards. Over 1,000 yards of offense in their previous 2 games. And almost 2,000 yards in their last 4.
Just 42 yards of offense for the Argos this half in comparison.
2nd and 6. Slant, Michelle has it at the 5, right at the first down stick.
Couple of scores tonight for Mark and Michelle.
Eric Rogers likely back next week, but with these injuries, well, did he secure that football? May have another look at that.
Well, they've
as a first down. Doesn't look like the Argos are going to challenge.
Rule did a catch, so they're going to try and get this snap quickly.
Mitchell over 300 yards, 29th time he's done that, and has a completion here. Preskinson, touchdown. second touchdown pass of the game for Bo Levi Mitchell.
Well, you gotta love being a Calgary Stampeder fan if you're here in Calgary, and boy, don't ever take it for granted because it's so hard to win, even against teams that have struggled through the year. But this Calgary team just keeps getting it done, and the key there for Bo Levi Mitchell was get it out quickly. He's talking about the interception that didn't count because of the pass interference call, but
6 plays, 65-yard drive. Been all Stampeders here in the second half. 14-10 at halftime. It's now 38-10. Jawan Breskinson, the Mississauga product, has his third touchdown of the year and a souvenir for a fan here at McMahon. Preseason action tips off tomorrow with the NBA Canada Series presented by Bell as they take on the Trailblazers in Vancouver. Catch the action at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on TSN2. So the Stampeders on a 32-3 run since the Argos had a 7-6 lead in the first quarter.
I threw it up there. Hi, Mom.
Will Likely. And the little scat back gets outside. And he will get angled out of bounds as Adam Berger stuck with him. Flag comes down. So the Argos on their way to the 5th consecutive loss. That would be the longest losing streak of Mark Trestman's career.
Toronto, number 4. We'll go back 15 yards, first down.
Well, they call the return man. The straight arm became a face mask, and they'll mark it back at the 26.
Take a look at that penalty as we get ready to start this Argo drive. Again, under 100 yards of offense in this second half for the Toronto Argonauts. In fact, under 50.
Yeah. 2 first downs. I believe it's 42 yards of offense here in the second half. Stuck in the mud here and almost picked off by Tunde Adeleke on the safety blitz. That close to his first career interception. Had a fumble recovery touchdown in Hamilton a couple weeks ago. He was thinking about the end zone here.
Yeah, come from the left of your screen. There's 27 right there. Times his jump, bats it down, and almost comes up with the pick. And if he can get it, he's walking in.
Argos just 1 for 5 second down conversions here in the second half. Crosser here. And Miles White, the catch, spun off to the 31-yard line, but he'll be short of the first down. Does Mark Trestman leave them on the field?
Yeah, it looks like he's going to. And
well, this not good for the Stamps. Trey Roberson down and needing attention. It's the only downside of the night for Calgary. They've lost some key people. Dave Dickinson stressed yesterday to not take the foot off the pedal here, that how important it would be to secure not just the playoff spot, which they confirm with the win tonight, but to nail down first place. It's the shortest way to get to the Grey Cup. It's not the guaranteed way, but it is the best way to get back to the Grey Cup. 1 game instead of 2, and that 1 game at home.
Well, that's why you got to have great depth, because it's the same on both sides of the border that you with this game, is that you got to have guys behind the starters that can step in. Patrick Levels Also a former starter that can step right in there at corner.
Deontay Evans apparently not far away from returning.
Yeah.
The Argos will punt on 3rd down. Morris 41-yard line. And up to the 50 before he is taken down. Cam Walker on the special teams coverage. Nick Arbuckle's going to come in and finish off for Bo Levi Mitchell, who ends up with a 307-yard passing game and 2 more touchdowns and no interceptions after the penalty wiped out the Dowling pick.
You know, and just talking about and expanding the conversation on the injuries, Reggie Begelton was hurt on a special team, and I mentioned the limited rosters and that sometimes starters have to play on the special teams, and that's why I've said for years that those 2 guys that are dressed but are healthy scratches and get full salary, I think should be put on the roster. You're paying them full salary anyway. Put them on the roster, put them in gear, and they can take 1 more of the starters off the special teams.
Get 1 or 2 starters off, and a guy like Reggie Begelton may still be in the game.
I mean, you can't do it for all of them, and once you have an injury or 2, that even makes it tougher to get a starter off the special teams, but I think it's an easy fix, or at least a step in the right direction.
Get a look at Arbuckle here. Pressure on. He takes a hit from Beltre. Gets it out of his hands. A neat spin there by Don Jackson, but Justin Tuggle takes him down at the 50-yard line. And it will be a punting situation for Calgary.
So he ends up with great numbers again. He'll improve to 10-0 in the regular season versus the Argos. You mentioned the 307 yards passing. So when you look back at his body of work over the last 6-7 games, I mean, just as good as it gets, and that's what he's done against the Argos.
Neighbor launches that inside the 10, and McCluster couldn't get past Whit McManus. We've called McManus's name a few times tonight. One of the extras on defense and one of their demons on the teams.
More reps for McLeod, Bethel Thompson, and again, I'm not giving Mark Trestman an alibi. He wouldn't want it, but I will say that you've got to remember with the Argos this year, they lost Ricky Ray in week 2. Ray's going straight into the Hall of Fame. Announced this week that Ricky Ray will not return and play this year, and that opens up the question, is that it for Ricky Ray? Now, while the Argos are still playing in the regular season, I know Ray won't want to talk about it, neither will the club. Ray's not that type of guy. He's going to be talking about the team and how he can help from the sidelines. He didn't make the trip, by the way, here to Calgary, but is on the sidelines for home games, and boy, what a career for Ricky. If it is the end.
Here's McCluster up to the 30-yard line. That's a first down. I think Argo fans at home might be saying, okay, James Franklin had a shot, lost 3 in a row, was replaced. This will be the 5th straight loss for McLeod Bethel Thompson.
Do you go back?
Do you go back and give Franklin another look? Or do you work your way through with McLeod Bethel Thompson? Argos will stay out west this week. They're in BC next week. Screen again to Dexter McCluster.
Yes, sir.
And up to the 40-yard line.
You know, I think it's a good point, and with McLeod Bethel Thompson, he's done some real good things. I mean, this is a sort of a journeyman guy that's 30 years old and getting his first opportunity, but that James Franklin discussion is an interesting one.
We've hit the 3-minute warning here. It's been all Calgary Stampeders here in the second half. Double header action tomorrow. Live mic game. It will be the Lions and Ticats in the Rematch of last week's thriller. It starts at 4 Eastern, 1 Pacific on TSN 1, 4, and 5. And we'll have the second game of the doubleheader from Commonwealth. A huge game in the Western Division. Bombers and Eskimos, 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on TSN 1 and 3. Pass intended for Alex Charette. He is broken up. Emmanuel Davis on the scene. Second and 10. And a pass is caught. Miles White, his second catch of the second half. 9th different receiver for the Argos tonight. Argos in a hurry up. No workout in Calgary this week before heading to Vancouver on Thursday. A pump from Bethel Thompson, then a fastball that ricocheted off White, and McManus almost made another play. By the way, I mentioned McManus has been around the football tonight. A combined defensive and special teams tackles of 8 in the game. So he's been busy.
Another guy that's worked through the system.
Alex Singleton has 9 tackles again tonight. Had 11 in the last home game on Labor Day. Second and 10. Stepped up and catch made by Levi Noel to the Calgary 50, a couple yards short of the first down.
But if you're Mark Trestman, are you thinking to close the season here? You're looking at 5 more games in the regular season. You got to get a little bit better grasp on what you got with James Franklin. And I think it's been, McLeod Bethel Thompson has had now 7 starts. Take a good hard look. You got some video on what he does well and what he can continue to work on. S.J. Green looks like he's shut down for tonight too.
There's enough for a first down on the spot of the football. Bethel Thompson at 231 passing yards.
Boy, how quickly it can change. When the Argos signed James Franklin,
yep,
he was the next one.
Argos still looking for their first fourth quarter points. Almost intercepted there. And Miles White had to play defense as Emmanuel Davis had his hands on the football.
Good start for McLeod Bethel Thompson. He got a couple of wins out of the gate. Just it's been downhill since. First game against Ottawa.
First 6 games, they averaged under 20 points. This second segment of 6 games, they were over 28 points a game. Offense was starting to collect. The defense gave up too many points. They keep this alive with that completion to Malcolm Williams. And it will be 3rd and a yard. Usually James Franklin territory. Bethel Thompson to get it done, and he'll roll forward for about 3 or 4 yards. Well, the theme of the night has been starters going down and the reserve guys stepping up. Calgary inspired our crew tonight.
Look at Brendan.
Brendan Mungala, our cameraman, goes down, still smiling, even though suffered maybe even a broken nose. So Justin Cougar steps in at the controls. Take a look at this play first. First down. McCluster back in.
But did you see the toughness with Brendan? I mean, he gets hit on the sideline.
And look at Justin in focus right from the get-go.
Right away.
For a key touchdown.
He steps in, so it's next man up, but Brendan was trying to still get the shot as he was going down into the signage in behind him. I mean, we got to do a player of the game, and I'm leaning to Brendan.
He can take a hit.
It's a little scary in reality when the guys are down there. I mean, they're looking into that viewfinder there, and you got to be careful with that, obviously. But
I like the fact that as soon as he got up, smiling, he looked at the scoreboard and admired his fine work on the scoreboard here at McMahon.
Took the hit.
Slant pattern. Duron Carter's got a catch. Second of the game for Carter. Targeted 4 times in the game.
You know, for all the people that say, just throw it to him, see what he can do, who cares if it's Sandlot stuff and all that, that is not going to happen under Mark Trestman. No. He is going to learn how to run his routes the way the offense is designed to run them. And if he doesn't, he's not going to get the ball, and he's not going to play.
Well, Micah Johnson punctuates his performance tonight with his 2nd sack of the game. 35th career sack for the big defensive tackle, his 8th of the year.
Well, in reality, he is a candidate, certainly, for player of the game. I mean, there's a couple. We've got a couple of finalists. Brendan, the cameraman, Bo Levi Mitchell, Mark and Michelle, and that guy, Micah Johnson.
Just tied Davon Coleman for the league lead among defensive tackles in sacks with 8. Bethel Thompson's got Miles White. And the Argos have a first down at the 6 here in the final minute. Trying to take something positive away from McMahon tonight. It'll be Declan Cross. And he gets stacked up just beyond the line of scrimmage. He's 2nd and goal. Again, in these 4 losses, no points for the Argos in the 4th quarter. McManus a little slow to get up.
Who are you leaning to in player of the game? We've got some candidates.
Let's find out. The Nissan Titan player of the game brought to you by the Nissan Titan, official vehicle of the Canadian Football League. I read it, so I don't have to say.
Well, a couple of honorable mentions, Mark and Michelle, but with a depleted receiving core, another loss to Reggie Begelton going down early. The quarterback keeps getting it done. So Bo Levi Mitchell, over 300 yards passing with basically his backup crew at receiver. He gets our Nissan Titan player of the game, and cameraman Brendan is a honorable mention.
You know, if Kamar Jordan and Tavares Daniels and Eric Rogers were in the lineup and both throws 307, it might have gone to one of the receivers, but boy, they have done it by committee tonight. Jawan Breskis in 5 catches, but 9 different receivers. Here's McLeod Bethel Thompson on the run, and he is going to be cut down at the 1-yard line. Touchdown saving tackle there by Corey Greenwood, the former Argo, who just signed us
because of injuries.
Because of injuries, a backup.
Yeah, some depth. And
former Eskimo and Argo. 3rd down, Bethel Thompson, goal line touchdown. Argos do break through here with 2 seconds to go to change the score.
Bethel Thompson a little slow to get up after taking a couple of shots in the bottom of that pile.
James Franklin had scored in short yardage earlier tonight to tie an Argo record, 12 rushing touchdowns on the season. Tying Gil Finnerty and Robert Drummond for that distinction. But we've seen Bethel Thompson in short yardage a couple of times here in the fourth quarter. And they'll go for 2 more. And that one almost picked off. Brandon Smith with the knockdown.
Brandon Smith got there so quickly, he ran past the ball, and it ended up behind him.
Offside, Calgary. We'll go up half the distance, so retry the convert attempt.
So they'll get a chance to repeat. A cluster in the backfield. And Bethel Thompson hit as he delivered. Pass caught, but it will not be in. It's 38-16 with just the kickoff to come. Good to see Corey Greenwood back in the league, a guy who's fought injuries, a good Toronto Argonaut after a career in the NFL, moved to Edmonton and continues to battle back from a knee injury, and now some backup support and some ratio flexibility for the Stampeders.
Yeah, and as I mentioned earlier in the game, Chris, they don't do that often where they're bringing free agents in, but you know, they got hit hard with the injuries. Even if it's in different positions, you still want to build your depth, make sure you got guys to cover kicks, things like that. And boy, in case something happened to one of their linebackers, like Alex Singleton, knock on wood it doesn't, but Corey Greenwood has experience in the league. So one of the reasons that John Huffnagel pulled the trigger on getting him here.
So the Argos will drop to 3-10. Bo Levi Mitchell's crew 11-2 and in the playoffs for the 14th consecutive year. That's just step one for the Calgary Stampeders.
The importance of first place too for this Calgary team when you look at their home record.
Ball on the ground, corralled back in by Calgary. Zeros on the clock. This one is done. It was all Stampeders in the second half. They led by 4 after 30 minutes, but they win going away 38-16 here as they strengthen their hold on first place in the West. Now 7-0 at home and 7-0 against the East. Argos playoff hopes take another hit, and they remain winless on the road this year. Again, 38-16 the final. So long from McMahon.